Lab is a privilege. Come on, guys.
Good.
Oh, you ought to be wearing gloves and goggles. Well, hello there. Today we're going to be discussing some very important steps to make sure that we have a safe lab experience. With the safe lab comes great ideas of conservation that can not only help us not be wasteful, but encourage a safe lab experience as well. Science is a class where we do stuff, but we gotta be safe. Remember, lab is a privilege, and students, just as professors, have responsibilities to make sure our lab is a safe environment. Be prepared for lab. This is an example of a girl dressed for lab. This is another version of a girl dressed for lab. Let's discuss a couple items in detail. Maybe you really like to wear your sandals and think it's no big deal, and say, what could possibly go wrong? They're just being overly cautious. No one will know. I'll show you one of the many things that could go wrong.
Steve, here's that 10 molar sulfuric acid you were looking for.
Let's do it plain small. Not only could you be hurt from a chemical spill, you could also get some broken glassware stuck in you.
Long, free-hanging hair could also be a dangerous situation. Let's take a look. You may not notice right away that you dragged your hair through chemicals while in lab and carry that around with you all day. And those of you girls that like to put their hair in the mouth from time to time will have quite an unpleasant surprise. Not to mention, it's a good chance you will destroy your hair if it was something corrosive. Of course, there are the problems that could occur if ever using a heating source as well. You don't want to learn the hard way how flammable hair products can be. This is why it is imperative to keep your hair tied back while in the lab.
What is that? What is that?
Aw, crap, what?
That is a mess, and I want it cleaned up right now. This is a seriously dangerous situation. Trip hazards, accidental spills on people's personal items, or picking up residual chemicals from the counter and putting that article of clothing back on when you leave could be hazardous. No one wants to take that stuff home with them, and no one needs to lose their sense of smell from breathing chemicals in all day. We don't need anything back in the lab area except three things: our lab report, a pencil, and a calculator, and possibly anything else your professor instructs you to have to complete the experiment. This cluster of stuff is a million different accidents waiting to happen. Act responsibly. The lab is no place for pranks or horseplay.
Hey, Steve!
Hey.
Ow!
Ah! Ah! We gotta get you to the shower.
Ah!
Go this way. Go
She
this
got
way.
it all over me! Ah! 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 It burns!
No food or drink is allowed in the lab at any time. Follow lab instructions. All lab instructions should be followed carefully. When in doubt, make sure you ask your teacher for help.
Hey Sujatha, did you want us to use sulfuric acid or sulfurous acid?
Be the sulfuric acid.
Thank you.
Never take or use substances that are not specifically indicated on your lab instructions.
Hey, you want to go get that and weigh that for me? Thanks.
green chemistry.
Hi, Professor. Let's take a minute to talk about green chemistry.
Okay.
The first key to green chemistry is it's better to prevent waste than to treat it or to clean it up afterwards. Another great idea is to design your lab so you maximize all your materials.
What do you mean?
Design your lab so that you don't waste more materials than you need for your experiments.
That's a good idea. It almost seems like common sense.
That's the idea behind green chemistry.
You make that sound so easy. But aren't many of the materials we're using toxic?
You are right. We do need to realize that the nature of the chemicals that we're dealing with and find practices to minimize the impact of the harmful substances on human health and their impact on the environment. All these can still be done while achieving the final product. So a general rule to follow is the more innocuous the better, and the more innocuous is safer.
Safety equipment. In lab, we always need to make sure we're using the proper safety equipment. Always follow your professor's instruction on when and where to use goggles, apron, and gloves. These all help prevent injury. In the event an accident does happen, there are important safety procedures in lab you need to be aware of. You must know the location and how to use the safety equipment available in every lab. In case of a fire, remember PASS, that's P-A-S-S. Pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the handle, and sweep back and forth. If you get chemicals in your eyes, run water for 15 to 20 minutes with your eyes open. If you have a larger chemical spill, use the shower. Make sure you're aware of where the fire blanket and emergency exits are. Handle substances carefully.
What is this? There's no label.
This is not how you handle chemical substances in the lab. Do not taste anything. Smell by wafting. Never by sniffing straight from the substance. Don't get chemicals on your skin. Carry any chemicals or materials around the lab with your elbows in. Do not dispose of chemicals down the drain. And do not light or ignite flammable substances. Handle glassware carefully.
Watch out for broken glassware or frayed cords. Dispose of glass properly in a dustpan and into the appropriate container.
Teacher, I broke some glass.
Use heat carefully.
Never have flammables near heating sources.
Whew, that's hot.
Hot.
Beware! Hot and cold glassware look the same.
More green chemistry.
Back to green chemistry. While we're heating glassware, it's probably a good time to mention energy efficiency. Let's say you need to create a hot bath for a reaction using a big beaker here. This is probably going to be excessive for what you need it for. So more energy and efficient and appropriate would be something of this size.
That sounds good to me, genius. Do you have any other ideas?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Let's think about 3 more points of green chemistry. First, let's use renewable raw materials whenever possible. Second, we can avoid using excess reagents that are wasteful. Third, we can design chemical processes that break down harmlessly. We should all remember that a greener world is a cleaner world for our future.
A safe lab is a fun lab.
And a green lab is a fun lab.
Safe lab is a fun lab.
Any questions? Do you have any questions?